Join me as I dive into the surprising turn of events in Niger and see how Macron reacts to this unexpected shakeup. The Sahel is transforming, and Niger is at the forefront of a movement that has left France and much of the West reeling. This isn't just a political story. It's the tale of a nation shaking off the remnants of colonialism, declaring its independence, and challenging the status quo in a way that's catching everyone's attention. Niger, along with its neighbors Mali and Burkina Faso, is rewriting the rules of its relationship with France. These countries, known collectively as the Alliance of Sahel States, AES, are determined to sever ties with neo-colonialism and reclaim their sovereignty. From expelling French troops to renaming streets once dedicated to French leaders, Niger's actions are sending shockwaves across the region, with President Macron watching nervously from Paris. The question is, how did we get here, and what's driving these drastic moves? Before we continue, welcome to Pan-African Lens. If you're passionate about Africa's diverse cultures, rich history, development, and the contemporary issues shaping the continent and its diaspora, you've come to the right place. Be sure to subscribe and join the conversation as we explore these powerful stories together. Let's continue. For decades, France maintained a tight grip on its former colonies in Africa, especially in the Sahel. Whether through military presence, control over resources like uranium, or cultural influence, France has had a significant hand in shaping the political and economic landscapes of countries like Niger. But that era is coming to an end, and Niger is leading the charge. The AES states of Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso have made it clear that they are moving towards full self-independence. This struggle for freedom is about more than just cutting ties with France. It's about building a future on their own terms, free from outside interference. The pushback from France has been swift and decisive. Economic sanctions, suspension of aid, and even diplomatic isolation. But Niger and its Sahelian neighbors are standing firm. One of the key steps in this movement was Niger's decision to revoke the French mining license of Areva, the company that once dominated Niger's uranium mining sector. Uranium is one of Niger's most valuable resources, and it has long been exploited to fuel France's nuclear energy ambitions while Niger itself remained in poverty. By reclaiming control over its resources, Niger is sending a clear message. It will no longer tolerate exploitation. In October 2024, Niger's government took another bold step by renaming streets and monuments that bore French colonial names. Charles de Gaulle Avenue, for instance, was renamed Debo Bakari Avenue in honor of a political leader who championed Niger's independence in 1960. The government also decided to replace a stone monument featuring French commander Louis Montel with a plaque dedicated to Thomas Sankara, the revolutionary Burkinabe president whose legacy still inspires across Africa. Sankara's vision for a united, self-reliant Africa resonates strongly in Niger's current political climate. Even the Place de la Francophonie, once a symbol of Niger's ties to France and the French-speaking world, has been rechristened as Place de l'Alliance des États du Sahel, AES, signifying the deepening alliance between Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso. These symbolic acts are more than just name changes. They reflect a broader movement to erase the vestiges of colonialism and assert a new identity rooted in Pan-Africanism. Monuments that once commemorated French soldiers killed in the world wars are now dedicated to the Nigerian civilians and military personnel who have suffered under colonization and neo-colonialism. Our streets should no longer bear the names of our colonizers. We owe it to our heroes to honor their memory, declared Omaro Abdulrahman, president of Niger's Pan-Africanist NGO, Urgence. These changes didn't happen in a vacuum. Relations between Niger and France have deteriorated drastically since the AES states began pushing back against French hegemony. Following the military coup that ousted President Mohamed Bazoum, Niger expelled French troops from its territory, closed down the French embassy, and even forced the closure of American military bases. This dramatic shift left France scrambling to maintain a foothold in the region. Adding to the tension, Niger's leaders have accused France of working behind the scenes to destabilize the country and even plot the removal of the AES regimes. France's historical role in toppling African leaders who stood against its interests has only fueled these suspicions. Neighboring countries like Benin and Ivory Coast, which have remained more aligned with France, are seen as potential staging grounds for French interference, further exacerbating the situation. Recently, Niger's government expressed concern over a French military base near the Benin-Niger border. They believe this base could be used for espionage or even military action against the AES nations. France has denied these allegations, but the arrival of a French warship in Ivory Coast has only deepened the sense of unease. It seems the cat-and-mouse game between Niger and France is far from over. As Niger distances itself from France, it's forging new alliances with global powers like Russia, Turkey, and Iran. Following the expulsion of French troops, Niger began purchasing military equipment from Russia and Turkey, including sophisticated drones and other advanced weaponry. These new partnerships are empowering Niger to defend itself against jihadist threats and build a military that no longer relies on Western support. Russia's growing presence in the Sahel has been met with enthusiasm in Niger. The AES states see Russia as a powerful ally in their quest for self-reliance. In contrast to France, which is viewed as a relic of colonial exploitation, Russia represents a fresh opportunity for partnership without the baggage of historical oppression. The decision to welcome Russian support has energized Pan-Africanist movements across the region, further solidifying the AES alliance. Turkey, too, is becoming a key player in Niger's defense strategy. Turkish drones, known for their effectiveness in conflict zones, are now part of Niger's military arsenal. In fact, the entire AES bloc has started looking eastward for economic and military partnerships, with Iran and China also making significant investments in the region. Iran is eyeing opportunities in Niger's burgeoning oil sector, while China is helping develop infrastructure projects like roads and railways. Of course, cutting ties with France hasn't come without economic repercussions. France has suspended aid to Niger, halted commercial flights, and removed Niger from the list of invited nations at the recent Francophone summit. Despite these setbacks, Niger remains defiant. The government has vowed to build its economy independently, relying on regional and international partnerships outside of France's sphere of influence. One significant economic move Niger has made is the abrogation of the so-called double taxation treaty with France. This treaty, which allowed French businesses to operate in Niger with significant tax breaks, was seen as another vestige of colonial exploitation. By ending the treaty, Niger is signaling its intention to create a more equitable business environment that prioritizes local interests. Moreover, Niger, along with Mali and Burkina Faso, is on the verge of ending the use of the CFA franc, a currency introduced by France in 1945 that remains in circulation in many former French colonies. The CFA franc has long been criticized as a tool of neo-colonial control, with France maintaining significant influence over the currency. By transitioning to their own currency, the AES nations are taking another step toward full economic independence. The formation of the Alliance of Sahel States, AES, marks a significant turning point in West African politics. Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali created the AES as a counterforce to the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, which they view as a puppet organization for France and the West. The AES nations believe that ECOWAS no longer represents their interests, particularly in their fight for sovereignty and against jihadist threats. In contrast, the AES aims to create a bloc of nations that can support each other militarily, economically, and politically. The AES states have even formed their own defense pact, which has already proven effective in combating jihadist insurgencies. With the support of Russian military equipment and Turkey's advanced drones, these nations are regaining territory that had fallen under jihadist control. The AES alliance is reshaping the political landscape of West Africa and challenging the dominance of France and its allies. As Niger and the AES nations continue their march towards self-independence, they are sending a clear message to the world. The era of neo-colonialism is over. By reclaiming control of their resources, rewriting the names of their streets, and forging new international partnerships, Niger and its Sahelian allies are creating a future where they are no longer dependent on France or the West. This shift has sparked hope across the continent, particularly among Pan-Africanists and anti-neo-colonialists who see the AES movement as a blueprint for Africa's future. The challenges remain immense, especially with the constant jihadist threats and the economic hurdles posed by France's retaliatory measures. But the momentum is undeniable, and the people of Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso are determined to see this new vision through. Niger's decision to dismantle French influence is part of a broader trend in the Sahel, one that is redefining Africa's relationship with its former colonial rulers. For President Macron, these changes are a wake-up call. The era of unquestioned French dominance in West Africa is crumbling, and it's happening faster than anyone expected. The question now is whether France will attempt to regain its influence or accept that a new order is emerging in the Sahel. One thing is clear. Niger and its allies are committed to building a future based on sovereignty, equality, and self-reliance. How this story unfolds will have profound implications not just for the Sahel, but for the entire African continent. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. What do you think about Niger's actions, and what do you predict will happen next? Thank you for watching Pan-African Lens. If you enjoyed this video and want to continue celebrating Africa's heritage and discussing its future, please like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps grow our community and keeps the conversation alive. See you in the next video.